Okay, so friends, we were there into working capital management, and we have seen the meaning of it. When the word gross as well as the net working capital are used, we know how to interpret those words. Gross working capital stands for the total of current assets, and net working capital stands for current assets minus current liabilities. Then, if someone is confused about how to interpret this current assets, it is also pretty much well defined. Normally, they are expected to be realized in the normal operating cycle of the entity. When this word operating cycle is used, that will be clarified later on in some time to come. And lesser than 1 years of life it should have. Otherwise, can't be called as the current assets. Primarily for the purpose of trading, forming a part of your day-to-day operations of the business, like debtors, like customers. Obviously, who are the debtors? Those who haven't paid the money to you yet. Then your inventories, your bills receivables, your cash. These are from the normal day-to-day business of the company. Expected to be realized within 12 months. Obviously, we are aware about it. It is non-restricted cash or cash equivalent. Well, we'll see that. Generally, current assets of the entity are inventory, receivable, cash or cash equivalents. When this word equivalence is used, you will interpret it like those marketable securities or some sort of an assets which are highly liquidable in nature can be converted into cash just within few days, say 1 to 2 or 3 days. Say some equity shares you have kept as the current asset may be liquidated just in 1 or 2 days, and in 2+2 settlement cycle you receive the money back. So some assets which are highly liquidable in nature may be realized within a very short frame of time can be called as cash equivalents, because they can be converted cash in cash very fast. Not going into a very technical definition as per the accounting standards that you may refer. For the financial management, the focus is not much on the accounting aspect of it. It's about understanding the meaning of it. Prepaid expenses, those expenses which you have already paid, becomes an asset for you. You are supposed to pay it today or the tomorrow. You have already paid it in advance. That's why they are your assets. Current liabilities, the similar kind of the definition, expected to be settled in the normal operating cycle. Operating cycle will be covered just today. I'll try to complete it by 3:15. Later on, we'll see that. And this liability is primarily held for the purpose of trading, operations of the business. You purchase the goods from someone, you keep some amount pending to be given to them. That is the current liability for you. That's a part of a business. Then you put it in your go down as an inventory, part of your business, because that's what you are doing in your business. That's an inventory, part of your business. Then maybe sold to the debtors, I mean the customers, and say the money is pending to be received from them. So it's your day-to-day business. So debtors are part of your trading channel. So they are primarily held for trading purpose. Expected to be settled within 12 months. So payables, bills, payables as well. Here the receivable word is wrongly used. You will be putting the payable over there. Outstanding payments, wages and salaries and all, which is forming a part of your operating expenses, but you haven't paid it yet. So those outstanding expenses will be a part of your current liabilities. Well, so as I've already stated, if it is on the basis of value, then it may be further bifurcated into gross and net. If it is gross, that means the total of current assets. If it is net, then current assets minus current liabilities. On the basis of time, it may be further bifurcated into permanent capital and fluctuating capital. Permanent capital is that kind of capital that you will require throughout all the days of the year That should be your minimum base capital to run the business. What happens generally is that majority of the business faces a cyclical flow in their sales amount. So whenever the sales are good, they also require the higher level of inventories. So at that time, they will be requiring some additional capital to run the business, because additional inventory can be sought only from the additional cash. So at that time, there must be some additional cash available to purchase the additional inventory whenever there will be higher selling zone. So there will be two types of capital. One will be kept permanently, say the minimum base capital 1 lakh rupees, and as per the requirement based on the cyclical flow of the business, we may have the fluctuating capital moving from say 50,000 more or 1 lakh rupees more up to 1 lakh. So it may be 50,000 or zero, or again 50,000, again a zero. So that is moving in nature, fluctuating in nature. You raise it by 50,000 rupees whenever you will be requiring the additional flow in the business, or you may again keep it as zero when it won't be required anymore. So permanent as well as the fluctuating working capital, that is a bifurcation based on time. Well, now the next question arises that, sir, what should be the optimum working capital? There is no specific answer to this. There is absolutely no specific benchmark for optimum working capital. But what we should do is we should try to reduce the holding cost of working capital as much as possible, in a manner that we also do not face any inadequacy issues. Yes, for each part of the working capital, cash, inventory, we have got few specific models, but they are not a part of syllabus right now in the basics of financial management. For cash management, there are two models which gives you the exact idea about the cash to be kept in the business. One is Baumol's model, another one is Miller and Orr model. But those models will not be discussed here because that's not the part of syllabus right now in financial management. But yes, some mathematical models are built, but how much working capital should be ideal, applicable to every industry is irrespective of their nature. There is no such standard benchmark for it. But friends, there are a few ratios which are considered to be optimum ratios. Now again, those ratios are not applicable in the blanket manner to every industry. Industry to industry, it will differ. Company to company, it may differ. Generally, it is 2:1, which is the current ratio. That is current assets divided by current liability. Again, for the banking and finances sector, 2:1 is not the appropriate one. For a manufacturing sector, it will be different from the banking sector. So that differs industry to industry, company to company. And there is another ratio which is the acid test ratio, which is just a slight modification of the current ratio. From the current assets, you just reduce the inventory. Because inventory is considered to be that kind of current asset which cannot be converted into cash at your will. सुबह उठ के तुम्हें मन हुआ कि भैया इन्वेंटरी को कन्वर्ट कर देते हैं कैश में, सेल्स कर देते हैं, तो नहीं चलेगा. Inventories takes their own time to be converted into cash. Sales will be taking some time. Obviously, based on the demands of customers, the inventories will move. So quick assets are those assets which can be converted into cash if you feel to convert them. So only inventory is reduced from current assets. Even debtors are kept. Why we are keeping the debtors as well? Because see, even to the debtors, you may give some percentage of rebate and discount. So they may pay you the advance payment straight away right now. But we assume that inventory is not something which can be moved at a wheel of company. It will always move based on customers' demands and requirements. So that must be 1:1 acid test ratio. That is also considered while evaluating the liquidity position of companies while giving the loans and borrowings. So all these banks which gives the unsecured and secured loans to these companies, they also see how much current and acid test ratio they have got. If they have got the good amount of liquidity, then the chances of non-payment of installments are very less. Okay. Both excessive and inadequate working capital are dangerous, absolutely. Excessive working capital means too much of amount is blocked in current asset, and the decisions in financial management are taken by considering the opportunity cost. The money which you are blocking carrying some opportunity cost. If that money will be utilized somewhere, it is going to fetch some return out of it. There is a carrying cost as well. If there will be too much of an inventory, money is blocked, that money is not generating any other return on it. Moreover, the stock is also going older. You will have to keep on incurring the maintenance cost, carrying cost. Maybe a warehouse and storekeeper needs to be appointed over there too. And if it will be too less, then there may be some bankruptcy issues. Or you will not be able to take some benefits of cyclical advantages. Like specifically, if you ask to some of the people working in marketing yard just nearby us, no, at Bedi. So in this commodities trading, what happens is that there is a cyclical flow. Sometimes the prices go too low. So at that time, if you have good money, you can keep the storage of those things. And that's where these people are earning a lot of money. So if anyone is belonging to a business family, having a shop at marketing yard, they would be able to connect it better. So if some opportunities arises to create a more amount of stock when the prices are significantly lower, so at that time, if you have the enough cash available, you may create an inventory at the lower prices. So inadequacy will also result into loss of opportunities sometimes if there is a cyclical flow in the demand and supply and their prices are affected. And if the company will be facing some liquidity issues. So what do we mean by this working capital management? First part of it is maintaining the adequate working capital. And then financing of the working capital. So that is also a part of working capital management. So sometimes if you are unable to have your working capital from your own funds, there must be some financing arrangements available to you. Like those who are belonging to a business family might be aware about the cash credits offered by the banks. Overdraft facility may be there. There may be some treasury bills too, which generally have very less number of days of life, may be converted into cash very quickly. Some corporate commercial papers too. Now treasury bills are specifically for the investment, corporate commercial papers may be there. So some financing may be there, as your stocks or your debtors may be sold to others, in the form of factoring. Like if you have got some debtor of 1 lakh rupee and you want to realize the cash out of it, you may sell it to some other people. So that other people will be, liquidating those debtors from you. The responsibility of liquidating the debtors is transferred to those other people, and they will charge their own commission of say 2,000 rupees. They will keep on receiving the money from the debtors directly. Now they will straight away give you 98,000 rupees in return of your 1 lakh rupees of debtors. Now why you have given the commission of 2,000? Because you wanted to realize this 98,000 quickly. You might have seen some business opportunity there. Instead of keeping the debtors of 1 lakh rupees, let's sell it to some other fellow will receive the 2,000 rupees of commission. Now 98,000 rupees may be employed somewhere productively into a business which may be earning more than 2,000 for you. If this 98,000 will be employed till the lifetime of this say debtors, and if they will earn you for say 5,000 rupees from the business, then you are better off, no? 2,000 rupees has been the commission charged. If you would have kept your 1 lakh rupees idle over there in terms of debtors, then what would have happened? You would have lost the opportunity to use this money somewhere into your business. But that happens only if you have got the business opportunity. Otherwise, there is no meaning of liquidating the debtors, right? Okay. There are various financial arrangements. We'll see that later on. So these are the determinants of working capital. When I say determinants, that means these are the factors that will affect your working capital management decisions, that will determine that how much working capital you should have. One is obviously the cash, we are aware about it. Another one is the inventory. In inventory too, there may be some specific processes followed by few companies. So there is something called just-in-time approach as well, where inventories will be ordered only when you will require that in your manufacturing process, just in time. So as and when they are needed, they will be procured. So there will be no stock of raw materials kept at that office. Or to reduce the inventory holding cost to the maximum level, or I may say the minimum level, obviously, there are some approaches like economic order quantity too. I guess you might have studied that in the cost accounting or accounting for managers. So based on the technique you follow for the inventory management, the cost of inventory will be identified and the working capital will get affected. Similarly, receivables, which is basically the debtors, the customers from whom you have not received the money yet, they are your receivables. Now, if they are bills receivables, then you may discount those bills receivables with banks as well. So say you have got bills for the customers who have taken the goods from you. You want to realize this money quickly. You go to a bank, you give some discount to the bank, and bank will straight away give you some money right now. What bank is earning in return? Bank is earning some percentage of return on it. Say 100 rupees of data, they will take 1 rupee away and 99 will be returned back to you. Discounting of bills. Short-term financing options. If you have got availability of the short-term financing options, like factoring that I have discussed, few other sort of things, then you may afford not to keep too much of working capital. But that depends upon the scale and operations and magnitude at which you people are operating, you know. Obviously, for Mukesh Ambani, the short-term financing options would be many. But for Babulal and Chandulal, there won't be any options available. Nature of business. For a restaurant business, where everything is too much perishable in nature, you won't have to maintain too much of stock of vegetables. So there won't be requirement of much working capital over there. You purchase all the commodities and vegetables on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, and then that is put into a business. So everything is there on a cash. खाने में भी लोग बाकी रखते ही होंगे, मेरे को मालूम नहीं, लेकिन overwhelming majority of the restaurant businesses happens on cash, right? Market and demand conditions, that also affect your working capital. If the demand of the product won't be much, then accordingly your stock levels will also be affected. No need to give further explanation on that. Technology and manufacturing policies. If your technology is so advanced in nature that it can convert the raw material into a finished goods within a very short frame of time, then you may afford not to keep too much of stock of raw material. But if technology is, you know, outdated and obsoleted one, ऐसे घोड़े गाड़ी की तरह, घोड़े गाड़ी नहीं बड़द गाड़ी की तरह जा रही है टेक्नोलॉजी आपकी, या तो फिर आपके पास finished goods convert करने में from the raw materials, if it is taking too much of time, then you will have to always maintain some amount of raw materials to run your business, to run your manufacturing processes. Operating efficiency. Say between one godown to another godown, if there is a very good channel of transportation available, within very short frame of time, if you can transfer the goods from one place to another place, then it's an efficiency, right? So accordingly, your investment in the inventory will get lower. Lower and lower number of days are taken in transportation within the company, better and better it is, because you will have to invest less in those inventories at that time. Say you have got, say, less wastage. वेस्टेज अगर कम होते हैं तो उसकी एफिशिएंसी बढ़ती है. सो ऑपरेटिंग एफिशिएंसी आपकी कितनी है, वैसे भी वर्किंग कैपिटल मैनेज आपका लेवल है वो अफेक्ट होता है. प्राइस लेवल चेंजेस. Sometime what happens that, see, you want to keep 100 say 100 packets of breads you want to keep as a stock. Just giving you the example. Now the prices of the bread packets have gone from, say, 20 rupees to 40 rupees. So earlier, for 100 packets of bread at your shop, you were requiring 100 multiplied by 20, so around 2000 rupees. Now for maintaining the same amount of stock, you will be requiring 4000 rupees, right? So additional 2000 rupees will be required to maintain the same amount of stock if the price is going very, very much up. लेकिन यहाँ पे लोगों को बिजनेस करने में मजा आता है, इन्फ्लेशन है उस समय पे लोगों को, जो बिजनेसमैन होते हैं उनको मजा आता है. आपने सुना होगा कई बार कि यार જ્યારે છે ને ઇન્ફ્લેશન હોય ને, જ્યારે મોંઘવારી હોય ને, ત્યારે ધંધો કરવાની મજા આવે. It's because at the same level of their output, they are earning more now. Mathematically, I had, I guess, explained you some days back, but it's like, say you are selling the potatoes and you're selling is, say, 10,000 kg on a daily basis at the wholesale level. And the price of this potato is 5 rupees per kg. So around how much of sales you will be making? 10,000 multiplied by 5 will be 50,000. And say your profitability percentage is 10%, so you are earning 5,000 rupees on a daily basis as the profit. Now, if the prices get shoot up, and it reaches to, say, 20 rupees, then basic necessity kind of products are such where price elasticity is not much. Even though the prices are increased, no one will stop consuming the potatoes, because that's the very basic vegetable we use in Gujarat. So say it gets affected, people start consuming it less, but it will not altogether be stopped, So 9,000 kg is consumed now, say, for example. Then also 9,000 multiplied by 20, so your amount of sales would be how much? It will be now dune adar 1,80,000, right? And again, you have the 10% margin on it. So 10% margin will be fetching you how much? 18,000 rupees on a daily basis. Even though your quantity of the sales has reduced by 1,000 kg, you have earned the profit higher than your previous level, because goods are selling at higher prices. So at that time, you will be also requiring the higher amount of working capital too. So it's always good to keep some amount of cash handy, or in a marketable securities should be realizable just within a couple of days. So whenever the business opportunities arises, that cash can be put into earning of more cash. Well, so these are the various determinants that affects the working capital. I just have got 15 minutes now. मेरा टिक टिक टाइम शुरू हो चुका है, बच्चों ने मेरे को पहले ही बांध दिया है 3:15 को खत्म करना है। बोलो, वो भी अनऑफिशियली विदाउट रिकॉर्डिंग। क्या करें? Okay, guys, there is something called operating cycle. Now that operating cycle is very important tool to analyze the working capital efficiency of any firm, to see that how fast the company is generating the liquidity, how fast the company is converting its goods to cash. We always look at the operating cycle period. You can also see the operating cycle period of the various companies before making any investment decision. If you want to see that how they are rotating their cash, how quickly they are rotating their cash. So you can use some of the websites like Stockage Web. You may go to Trendline to see that how companies are having their operating cycle, how faster they are converting their goods into cash. What does it operating cycle mean? Let's try to understand the flow of it. It's very easy to understand, nothing to be worried about. Sharing has stopped. Let me share it again. Okay, so how does the flow look like? Say when the raw materials are purchased from your side, that raw materials will be kept in a go down somewhere, and say you are holding that raw material for 5 days before putting that into production. And not entire raw material will be put into production, no, obviously. You may at least be having 5 or 10 days of raw material stock. And on a gradual basis, on a say daily basis, you are putting some raw material into production processes. So you are keeping your on an average 5 days of raw material period. Then that raw material will be there into a production process, and it will remain in the production for some time until it is converted into fully finished goods. So that production time, say 5 days are taken, then that is called work in progress holding period. Then once you convert that into a fixed finished goods, not on the very same day you will get the sales of the entire goods, right? The sales may take place gradually. Only 20% of the finished goods you will be able to sell, say, on a first day. Then 20% of the finished goods will be sold on a second day. And say you will take 5 days to make the sales of your finished goods. This is again a 5 day. Now, once these goods are sold to your customers, and say you are allowing them the credit, and credit of say 10 days is allowed on the sales order. So you are adding further 10 days, and after those 10 days, that money will be realized in cash to you. So you had put that in a production. Before that, you had kept it just as a raw material for 5 days in your go down. Then there was a working capital period of 5 days. Then there was finished goods storage period for 5 days. Then 10 days were taken by your debtors. Ultimately, 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 10, 20 days are taken just to realize your inventory into cash. So number of days which are taken to realize your inventory into cash are called as operating cycle. Now, that happens very rarely. mistake. Operating cycle and cash conversion cycle are two different things. So say from 20 days, I mean, this 20 days are started from you are putting your stock in a go down as a raw material to you are realizing your cash from debtors, right? These are the 20 days. This is called as the operating cycle period. But possibly you may also have received some credit period from your suppliers, right? So the credit period which you have received from your own suppliers, if you reduce that, then it becomes the cash conversion cycle. So from 20 days, say you have got 7 days of credit. 20 नहीं 15 और 10 25 થાય છે, sorry. From 25 days, if you reduce 7 days, then it will be 18 days, right? So 18 days will be your cash conversion cycle. Let me explain that to you by taking one example again here so that you will be able to get it in better way. There is a raw material taken into go down 5 days. Not on the very same day this entire raw material will get transferred to a production, obviously not. It will get transferred on very slowly and gradual basis. Then there will be a work in progress period where this goods will remain under a production again for 5 days. Then finished goods will be kept in your go down again for 5 days. Not on a very same day this entire goods will be sold, obviously. It will be sold based on the requirements and needs of customers. And then debtors say take 10 days for realizing your payment. So basically your goods has taken 25 days to be converted into cash, but against which even you also might have taken the credit period. You are supposed to pay to your creditor after 7 days. Raw materials have come to your go down. Raw material storage period is 5 days, understood. But you have also taken the credit from your suppliers, right? So the moment you pay them the cash, to the moment you receive the cash from the debtors, that is called as the cash conversion cycle. So these two words shouldn't be used interchangeably. A thin line of difference between them is there. One is operating cycle period, which is conversion of inventory into cash. Another one is cash conversion cycle, which is the period from which you pay the money to the creditors to you receive the money from your debtors, which is the cash conversion cycle. So cash conversion cycle will be operating cycle minus credit period allowed. Credit period availed or allowed or whatever the word you used from your own suppliers. May I have a confirmation? First of all, you should be clear about this operating as well as the cash conversion cycle. Now, operating cycle period is also sometimes referred as net operating cycle period. So when net operating cycle word is used, no, that means it is basically the cash conversion cycle. But here in this CA module, it was reduced. I was surprised. Generally, the CA modules are not containing any mistakes. May I have a confirmation that you have understood it conceptually, first of all? Okay, a confirmation, please. Good. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Vishal. Thank you, Devanshi. Thank you, Rajvi. Thank you, हार्दिक. आपने मुझे 3:15 को खत्म करने के लिए कहा था. मैं 3-8 को कर रहा हूँ 7 मिनट, इसे कहते हैं प्रॉफिट, बिजनेस, मुनाफा। वो गुरु वाला डायलॉग है ना वो। Anyway, so that won't be taken much time today. We'll be solving the sums of it in the next session. Fine. So please put your enrollment number as a mark of your attendance. That's it from my side for the day. Thank you.